I grew up in a suburb of Paris, a very immediate suburb of Paris, on a town called Champigny-sur-Marne. Champigny-sur-Marne and Joinville, who is the next town, or basically the movie industry. This is where the Lumière brother come from. My father was a truck driver. My mother was a woman at home, taking care of 3 kids, my 2 sisters and myself. So I grew up in a very humble background, blue collars, where artists or pictures are just lazy people taking advantage. So I was not very good in school. I was very agitated. The art teachers started paying attention and to what I was doing, I suppose. And when we had one of those creative class of science, do whatever you want, have come with a drawing that I think catches mine. So he thought there was probably a good idea to go see my parents and tell them that I was not necessarily good in school, but I had some kind of gift, I suppose. And he already had talked to his friend of his, who was the director of a very prestigious school in Paris, who specialized in tapestry, Les Gobelins. And he had talked to that guy about getting me into that school. So he went to my parents and said to my parents, well, your kid is not very good in school, but he's good in art. And I have a friend who is ready to take him into this school. And my father said, okay, that's nice. And how long is that school? 5 years. Uh-huh. Okay, and did he get a guarantee of employment?
Guarantee of employment.
Yeah. And I remember the teacher looking at him going like, that's a stupid question. Because basically anybody who come out of that court class, you can just go get a job anywhere in the world. All the museum, everybody is going to be up there waiting for you to come out.
Yeah.
And the answer of my dad, no, he's not going.
Your dad said no. Yeah.
So that was a big shock. And then the second shock after that is 2 weeks later, he signed for me a contract of apprentice at a butcher shop.
At a butcher shop?
So
So he kind of chose that for you?
Yeah.
He's like, I want you, this is what you're going to do.
This is what you're going to do because you have to bring money at home. You're not going to be one of these lazy artists.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. The situation at home become pretty tense till we have, a lot of fight and a lot of argument. And at one point, I was about 15, a little bit over 15. My mother just told me that I had to leave the house. That it was just unbearable. That it was just not manageable. Yeah. You think that I'm going to fail and I'm going to apply your rules to my life. It's not going to happen. I'm going to make it. Yeah. And I'm going to show you. And that was the drive. I remember driving. It was a long way going to my aunt's house on that little Solex or whatever it's called. But I made it there, and it's just like, that's it. I'm just going to make it. My older sister had an electrical company where she was contracting for different construction sites. So she almost immediately gave me a job. And that was the opportunity for me to have a lot of free time in trying to get some education. Not very successful. I have to say that between 16 and basically 20, I was going from one experience to the other to try to figure out how I was going to follow my leg. Consequently, I learned a lot of different trade, from electricity to woodworking to mechanics and all these different things. So it was a
Were you doing any painting at that time?
No. No, I totally put on the side the fact that I was
so the creative spark
artist.
happened, but then it just was like...
It was like, boom, shut down.
Yeah.
It's not artists are lazy, and you don't
Right.
want to be one of them. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Now I put it on side. So one morning, on Friday morning, I tell that story all the time. I wake up extremely unhappy and pissed off. Basically, like I wake up French, and I decided that I was going to leave France. I was going to move out. So I called a friend of mine who was a flight attendant, and I asked her. This is where it's become interesting. I asked her what's the most beautiful country in the world, because she had traveled everywhere. I traveled a few countries, but not that much. And she said, Mexico. I was like, okay, Mexico, because I want somewhere sunny. I didn't want to, go to another place like Paris when you have to buy clothes for the winter. And I said, oh, Mexico. But she got, there's no work in Mexico.
Yeah.
Go to LA.
Go to LA.
And from LA, you can go to Mexico on a weekend. It's exact. The conversation didn't take that much more than that.
Yeah.
So, get dressed and take a shower, get dressed, go to Paris, bought a ticket, a one-way ticket for Los Angeles for the following Monday. And on Monday, I left France and moved to LA. And I arrived in Los Angeles on 10th of December, 1981. If I was going to be following my dream only on this place, I was going to be able to do that.
Did you have a dream at that time, though?
I want to be able to do what I want to do. I want to be able to create. I want to be able to be free and be not employed.
But you didn't know what it was. You wanted to kind of do your own thing.
That's it. I was just gonna totally go the opposite of what I was coming from.
Right.
I was, that's it. So I decided that I was gonna, follow my dream. That I was gonna start drawing. That I was gonna start being more creative. That I was gonna look for outlet to express that creativity. I'm the product of, what immigrants feel like when you put somewhere where everything is possible versus you coming from the wrong zip code.
Yeah.
And only the United States can provide that.
Absolutely.
And I will be forever grateful for that part of it.
We've talked about this before, but about your times that you spent in Hollywood. I mean, how did it progress into you getting into the furniture business and sort of being more on the kind of like the Hollywood scene?
Well, this is the way it happened. Like I told you before, I had during my teenage year, I had a lot of different formation. One of them on woodworking. And this is what is interesting is because this is of a lot of importance to what I'm doing now. One of the person that helped me the most when I was on that transition period was a Spanish man that was making furniture near my house. Mm-hmm. And he allowed me to come and hang out on his workshop. I didn't think at the time that I was going to be a woodworker person. I didn't look at this. And I was hanging out down there and looking at him to a point when I was staring at him to the point where he said, okay, why don't you just come in? Why don't you clean this? Why don't you clean that? And he started teaching me a number of things. What is important to me is because when I obviously start living here, it was a strong feeling for me that I had to give back and maybe give a kid the same opportunity that I have, because ultimately that man, there was only maybe a year, 2 years part of my life, I've definitely changed my life. Yeah. When in LA, people used to ask me what I can do, what I should be doing, what would be a good idea. Every time I mention the fact that ebenistery, which is what it's called, cabinet making, everyone say, oh, you should do that here. Oh, we need cabinet makers. We need this. And the opportunity never come around until one day a friend of mine called me and said, this woman is importing a bunch of furniture from England, and she's looking for somebody to help her out. how to put back this furniture together because they come in pieces. So I took that job with this lady. They opened a store on 3rd Street in Robertson, a designer store.
3rd and Robertson?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Beverly Hills, yeah.
And I started, putting this antique together because the antiques, pine antiques from England, because it was the crazy shabby chic, beginning of shabby chic back on those days. And it was a lot of furniture, it was a lot of things down there, but it was no bed. And I said, well, if you want, I design a bed. I can design a bed that will go with this furniture. And I designed a bed for this woman, and we put the bed on window, and it was sold almost immediately, and it was sold was to somebody very famous, was Olivia Newton-John. So that's it. This is
your first bed design?
This is the first bed design.
First bed design, and it goes to Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah. So I met with Olivia, and Olivia was an incredible individual. She was very nice and very straightforward. And she's just like me and started introduced me to a numbers of people, especially people in the music industry. Get involved with the restoration of antiques. I opened one of the first antique restoration shop in LA, if it was not the first.
You opened it yourself?
Yeah. To this connection to the antique market, I realized that it was really a need for an antique restoration place in LA, because most of the dealers back on those days used to buy the best of the best in France and spend a lot of money. And I just went one more time to the dealers and say, well, there's another way to do things. What do we buy better? And then creating a restoration shop here, and we can restore the things here. So I went to Paris, I bought a workshop, I bring it back to the state, and we opened the shop in La Ciénaga in Melrose. There was called on the beginning Gilles Antique Restoration, and became GL Antique Restoration. And then on
what was it called?
It was called Gilles on the beginning, Gilles Antique Restoration, and there was
because this is before you changed your name.
GL. Then it became GL Restoration, and I did that for a long time. So what kept my my creativity out of the way was pretty much how I'm going to survive, because I'm in a foreign country, and so every time it was an opportunity to be creative that was involving making money, I would have tendency to go for that.
Yeah.
And all my life I live on the States for 27 years. It was pretty much about that. It was opening. Yes, I can apply my creativity, but you have to, involving a money exchange. And till later on in life, I just played that game till I was not satisfied with it anymore. And I decided that I was going to leave the money issue on one side and just focus on the creative aspect, and hopefully one day the two will, come back into balance. But that took a while. I was very lucky and very privileged. I had an incredible life, an incredible ride. Yeah, you can say, into what I was doing. But one more time, I was not fulfilled. And as an artist, as a creator, it was a piece missing.
Yeah.
And the piece missing was to do things for free. And so it took 2001 and September 11 to one more time have that switch of like a lot of people, I think it was time to question the meaning of things. for me, it was a different experience because I lived through the terrorism era back in the 70s, back in France, pretty close call too. So I was not overly surprised. What I was surprised at is the reaction of people. I thought September 11 was a good opportunity to people to question how do we get there in the first place. That was totally bypassed. And it was more like, oh, let's kill them all. And I know for experience that was not going to work. So I was losing my American dream. And I thought, well, maybe it's time to reassess everything, evaluate everything, and maybe it's time to move on again. And concentrate, I start looking at Mexico as a possibility.
Because of the flight attendant? It kind of goes back to that?
And go back to that.
You still had Mexico on the mind.
I had Mexico on my mind. Well, I traveled to Mexico quite a few times, when I was living in the state. I went all the way down to Huatulco and Mazatlan and Puerto Vallarta, all these places. Didn't make any sense. The geographic of it was just too complicated. The language was another issue. Baja was convenient.
Yeah.
It was drivable. And I like that part of it. I was not depending on plane or anything. I just can take my cars and go there and get out of there. I come here for Christmas in 2003, I think, 2002 or 2003, with a backpack. And I went to the Presidente to rent a scooter because I remember they rent scooter there. And I asked for a place to go fishing. And they say, oh, you go to this fishing village there, La Playita, you turn right, you take the dirt road, you go to the trees, and then you see Panga there, and you can go fishing from there. So I took the scooter and drove back, and before the marina was there, and I ended up here. One more time was strange is where I have the gallery now. This is the first place that I stop in La Playita to have a drink. Start coming more and more often, start looking for a place to rent. And rent one place, rent another place, bring a Zodiac, bring a car, buy a Jeep, the whole thing, the process. It was very different than moving from France to the States where it was done.
You could do it bit by bit this way.
Yeah, this way I can start bringing stuff in. I was, like I say, I had a lot of, I was comfortable.
Yeah.
So I can buy the toys, I can bring them in. So that's the whole thing, the way it happens. And then I rent this house. And from
this house, this one, your house?
This one, my house.
Iggy Pop's old house?
Yeah. So one day Iggy say, I want to get out of there. I want to get my money out of it. He owned his house since the 80s, 86, I believe. And he said, well, if you want it, you can buy it. I didn't have really the money to do that, but I figured out and bought the property and start doing a remodel without and keeping the whole. You've been there.
Yeah.
You live here for a while.
It's a cool house. Yeah.
So I saved the little house that was there with the vaulted ceiling, and then just extend it and build a house that you know now. This house obviously have a lot of history, and you can feel it when you're down there. It's there. Last time he was around, he was with a bunch of his artist friends, so you can feel that. I think as an artist you can feel. I think he was a plus, and one more time kind of a gift.
Yeah, for sure.
To me, in a sense where living on this kind of place, he kind of encouraged me to pursue one more time what I was here to do for
the creative side.
The creative side in the first place. So
when did you make the full move? No more.
I finished the house in 2009. And I decided to introduce myself to this place by doing a show at my house in 2009. And we did this big event with my friend Loic at the house.
And since you've been down here, like, what kind of work have you been doing since?
Well, that's it. There was no work involved. It was about just painting and creating
Just being
and
creative.
try to get involved with the district here.
Mm-hmm.
I opened a gallery here with a partner of mine, 256 on the art district. And then I decided to open a gallery with my friend John. And one more time on creating a space, there was going to be a space where we can work with the community and do events and do charity events and stuff like that, and tie this up.
Mm-hmm.
That said, it was also very mundane, and it was leaving me a little bit with the feeling that I didn't know exactly where my charity work, if I can call it that way, was going. So then we had Odile, and Odile put a problem and everything, because a lot of people exactly
made us roommates for a while.
Well, roommates for a while. We had to, he went one more time to the surviving mood.
Yeah.
So we had to adapt to everything, and it was a lot of uncertainty. Where we were going to go, what Cabo was going to go,
Absolutely.
what was going to happen, and it was a lot of fear there. We survived Ordeal.
Yeah. We're here.
We survived Ordeal. And then we rebuilt. And then I decided that I was going to focus a little bit more into building a straight road into my involvement and the people, and I decided to move our gallery to La Plata. Our gallery in the beginning, moving to La Plata, was to try to make one more time a business sense. Try to have a food and beverage operation or coffee shop able to generate money to be able to give free classes and free art program to local kids. On my head, because everything makes sense on my head at one point. See, people tell me otherwise.
Well, I mean, it's a good. It's like, okay, well, we can bring an art gallery into this artistic place, and make a little coffee shop and a little food and beverage thing, and generate the income so that we can afford to give free classes to local kids.
Mm.
I mean, sounds like a pretty foolproof plan to me.
Well, it said that the food and beverage here is food and beverage.
Yeah.
And
It's
this is a business.
Yeah.
And this is not a business that I'm, in, and I don't know anything about it. And it didn't exactly work as planned. Another thing that didn't work as planned, went up to be a blessing, is I thought I was going to get out of this small little village between 8 and 12 kids. At the end of this year, we had 37 children. So he just kind of took over the whole thing. And I had to let go of the whole business and kind of lucrative aspect of it, and really realized it was bringing a lot of joy and a lot of, proud was the fact that I was, be able to do that with those kids. So it kind of take, one more time, we're back to the situation is, I have plans, people have other plans, life have other plans. Most of the time, life have better plans for me than I've planned for myself.
Yeah.
Whatever happened and the way it happened, well, I mean, how, we talked about this before, that whole experience was complicated for numbers of, outside reasons. At the end of it, the kids part of it took over the whole idea of moving a gallery to La Plata. Mm-hmm. And also to get involved in doing, free class, art class for the kids. It opened so many other opportunities, so many other doors are open because of that. the joy that I get out of this and the reward that I get out of this is just cannot be compared with any kind of money or anything. It's just, they are become such an important part of what I do today. And I really feel like, today, on the beginning, I thought, that when I think about these numbers, let's go back to this number, I thought it was going to be 8 to 12. Mm-hmm. And I thought maybe I'm going to be able to influence or have some kind of impact on one of them. Now, today, I have 37. I know that I have at least 4 kids on that program who are definitely worth it, having a scholarship or having support to pursue that goal, that art goal. If I can achieve that or help that or be participating into that happening, I pay back. I think this is what today is driving me, is to be able to have that little bit of influence, that woodworker, that Spanish man who took the time to let me clean this shop and show me the trade. Those kids, those family, they make me feel welcome here from day one. Even if they take it away from me today, I achieve it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I did it, and I'm pretty proud of it.